You know, I can sit here today as an All Black fan, and an All Black fan since my birth almost, and I can say to you I absolutely love watching the Springbok team playing. And we all know they've got the ability to go better than what they're playing at the moment as well, and that's what makes it even more scary, because the potential is truly untapped, I believe. And I think within the next 3 years heading up to the Rugby World Cup in Australia, we're going to see the South African team even get better, and that's the scary thing for all the opposition around the world. So as we're watching this generation, this era of South African rugby unfold, we should embrace it as rugby fans across the world, not just in South Africa. I read all of your comments from the South African viewers of my channel, and I feel the passion, I feel the pride that you have in this group of players. Well, I can tell you that there's a lot of people across the world that are sharing that with you, because what South Africa is bringing to the game of rugby at the moment is absolutely fantastic. It's like the All Blacks back in the heyday in that team of 2005, 2015. I think those All Black teams were bringing something that embraced the whole rugby community around the world. And that's what this beautiful game of ours needs, and I think that's what the Springboks team is doing. G'day everyone, and welcome to Inside Rugby with Mark. My name is Mark. I am a Kiwi, I'm a rugby fan, and I live here in beautiful Cancun in Mexico. Now, I'm learning every day about this YouTube thing and what I have to do to try and make this channel grow. I retired a number of years ago, and I could be sitting by the pool every day drinking cold beverages, but I chose to start this rugby channel because I just want to share my passion for the game of rugby, and I want to help to try and play a small role in helping this great game of ours to grow across the world. And that's where I need your help, because looking at the statistics of my channel, I found out that over 80% of you who come back on a regular basis to watch my videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. Now, that's like taking a plane ride all the time and not having a frequent flyer program. So could you do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything at all, but it's going to help me on my mission to play a small role in helping to grow this great game of ours across the world. Thank you in advance for that. Now, we're just over a week away from the start of that wonderful series in South Africa between the South African Springboks and the New Zealand All Blacks. Game 1 is going to be played at Ellis Park in Johannesburg, and of course both squads have been named. The Kiwis are on a plane heading to South Africa. The South Africans are getting ready with their fantastic squad, and it's that squad that I'm going to talk about today. The squad's been named for a few days now from Rassie Erasmus, and what I thought I would do was not only go through the squad and talk about it, but give you my views on some of the players that I think are going to be standout weapons for the Springboks in this short series against the All Blacks. So let's get right into it now. Okay, so let's get into this. First of all, let me say I am a Kiwi rugby fan. So talking about the South African Springboks, bear that in mind, because there might be a few things that I say that might surprise you in this video. Now, don't forget, leave your comments about what I talk about in this video. I'd love to hear your views. I read all the comments. That's another commitment you get from me on this channel, is that I read your comments, I interact with you, I give you my responses, and that's all part of being on this channel with Inside Rugby with Mark. So if that's another thing that inspires you to subscribe and to support this channel, then I'll guarantee you that I will do that. Okay, now you probably know some of the players that are already been named in this squad, or the whole squad. I'm going to go through the names pretty quickly, and then I'm going to focus on talking about some players specifically. Okay, so let's go through the Springboks forwards first that's been chosen in this squad to take on the All Blacks. We've got Thomas du Toit, that is, Kitsoff, Vincent Koch, Malherbe, Enche, Steenkamp, Wessels, Marks, Bonami, Etzebeth, Morat, Norkia, Schneemann, Van Rensburg, Jason Dixon, Pieter-Steph du Toit, Siya Lowe, Smith, Van Staden, and Visa. So there we go, that's the forwards that have been named in the squad for the Springboks. Now let's have a look at the backs that have been selected, and they include Hendricks, Reinhardt, Williams, Feinberg, Ngoma Zulu, Lebok, Pollard, Arm, Diolandi, Esterhazen, Krill, Arendse, Fassi, Colby, Leroux, Mapimpi, and Kanan Moody. What a fantastic squad that is, and I'm going to talk about that in context a little bit in this video as well. So there we go. I think this is a brilliant squad by South Africa. Of course, there's some players missing, and Honeycomb is one I would love to see in the South African team. Faf de Klerk's out with his injury, of course, to his thigh. So there are a few players missing that could be selected. And again, we just talk in nearly every video about South African rugby about the depth of this great nation when it comes to rugby. There's no doubt about it. South Africa's riding a wave at the moment when it comes to the amount of talent they've got, both on the field and also in the coaching box, and we'll talk a little bit about that in this video. But also it's a golden era of South African rugby right now, I believe, at test match level. It really is. And to all the South African viewers watching this video, embrace that moment, because trust me, as a Kiwi, it doesn't last forever, and someone will come along when it's least expected and knock you off the perch. So let's get into talking about some of these players and looking at the forwards to start off with. I like the makeup of all the different forwards here. We've got a lot of experience as well as a lot of youth coming in. And one of the players that stands out for me in the South African forward group is Ben Jason Dixon. I think this guy is going to be an absolutely brilliant rugby player. He's already very, very good. I would love to see him get a start at number 8 against the All Blacks in the first test at Ellis Park. I think he brings so much in terms of his strength, his ability around the field, and in particular in the breakdowns. I think this is an area where I think the Springboks are going to target the All Blacks, and a player like Ben Jason Dixon could be a real weapon in that artillery that the Springboks have got. Let me know what you think about Ben Jason Dixon. Do you think he's going to get a go? Do you think he's going to start at number 8, or do you think Rassie's going to try him in another position? Love to hear your views on that one. Now, the front row is going to be crucial in this series, isn't it? The forward power up front, those scrums, setting the platform. South Africa, as we know, over the generations have been focused on making sure they've got that forward dominance, but it's a different South African team now. It's a team that wants to get that platform done accurately so they can win quality ball, so those dynamic backs can get out there and score points. And that's a completely different concept, isn't it? So we're probably going to see Oxen, Che, Bonami and Franz Moherba start this series, I suspect, but I would love to see Thomas du Toit in there. I think he's a fantastic player, and I think he's yet to prove a lot of things that he can do in a Springbok jersey. So the front row that I'm expecting to see is what I just named. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that's going to be the starting front row for the Springboks in the first game at Ellis Park? And who are the other props and hookers that you'd like to see be given a go in this series against the All Blacks? Okay, another notable discussion for the squad is 3 forwards are coming back into the squad. Steven Kitsoff and RG Schneemann are coming back from injury. And we've got Jasper Wiese, who's coming back from suspension. So those 3, I'm sure, are going to play a huge part in this series against the All Blacks. Now, let me know what you think about Steven Kitsoff. Is Rassie going to risk it and put him in there with limited game time that he's have, or is he going to be used in a different way in the South African team? I'd really like to know your views on that one. RG Schneemann, for me, has to go straight back into being on the bench in terms of the bomb squad. He brings so much to the South African team when he comes on as part of that bomb squad. Those fantastic offloads that he's able to do, and I'm sure that the last 20 minutes of these games against the All Blacks are going to be crucial. So I think RG Schneemann is going to be really, really important. Now, Jasper Wiese, is he going to get the go ahead at number 8? That's going to be one of the big questions for me. Or are we going to see Ben Jason Dixon there at number 8? Love to hear your views around this one. Who do you think is going to get the nod in the number 8 position for the Springboks? I think we're going to see Rassie go back to the traditional bomb squad, if there is such a thing with the Springboks team, the likes of Kwagga Smith, RG Schneemann, Vincent Coe and the rest on the bench. I think that's where the biggest impact is for the Springboks in this series. And as I keep saying in my videos, I think the last 20 minutes of each of these games is going to be absolutely crucial to the outcome of these games. So I think the bomb squad not only needs to be big, fast and physical, but it actually needs to make a difference, and we need to see whether or not they can do that. A question mark for me in this South African squad is locking position, and of course Etzebeth a shoo-in for that one, but Ryan Nortje was, well, I don't think he had the best game when he got the opportunity against Australia. I know a lot of people rate him, but is he playing out of position? And is he the person we're going to see in there with this Salman Morad, of course? And a lot of you have said your very honest and transparent views around his position in the Springboks team. But I'm really interested to know what South Africa is going to do with the second locking position. I think that's one of the question mark selections that we have in the South African team. And could it be RG Schneemann? Could he get a start next to Etzebeth? Love to hear your views on that one. So overall, I think this is an absolutely magnificent squad of forwards that the Springboks have. Rassie is absolutely pleasured, I guess, with the amount of talent that he has to choose from. And I'm sure a lot of these young players that are coming in as well are going to get some fantastic experience. Ellis Park in Cape Town against the All Blacks, it doesn't get any better than that. And it's going to help them grow into those roles that he's trying to develop as they head towards 2027 in the Rugby World Cup in Australia. So I think this is a magnificent group of forwards that the Springboks have. I think they're going to give the All Blacks a hard time across 80 minutes, and I keep emphasising that because I can see some differences in the quality of the benches when it comes to the forwards, and I think that's where South Africa might have an edge against the All Black pack. Okay, now let's get on and talk about the backs, and I've got a few comments to make around some of the players in the backs as well. So again, I think Rassie is absolutely blessed with the amount of talent that he has in the Springboks team, and of course halfback is one of the positions that there's a bit of a question mark over because Faf de Klerk is out with that thigh injury, as I mentioned, and he's not going to be taking any part in the rest of the Rugby Championship by the sound of it. So it looks like Cobus Reinhardt's going to get the nod for the Springboks at halfback. Jaden Hendricks has come back into covering as well, and we've got Grant Williams there. So I probably see it's going to be Cobus Reinhardt with Grant Williams on the bench, and that's the way that the Springboks are going to be going. And if there is a creative split in the bench of a 7-1 or something, then I can see Grant Williams being the player that can cover most of the positions for the Springboks. So a gluttony of halfback talent for the Springboks. And I talk about the talent of the 9s for South Africa, but when you go out to the 10s, well, you're talking about Sasha Feinberg, Andre Pollard and Manny Lebok. It probably doesn't get any better in World Rugby, does it, if you could have those three sitting in your squad for yourself. So that's going to be really interesting to see. A lot of you have been talking about Andre Pollard getting the nod in the number 10 jersey to start the series against the All Blacks. I'm not too sure. I think Sasha's going to get the nod. I think we've seen a new dynamic in the Springboks team, and I think Rassie is probably keen to see how Sasha goes against the All Blacks in this absolutely cauldron type atmosphere that we're going to see in Ellis Park. Let's face it, if things go awry, he can bring Andre Pollard on to settle things down, but I don't think Sasha's going to let him down. I think Sasha's up for the task, and he could probably be the dream chaser that actually gets up for the Springboks and makes a difference in that game. So let me know in the comments, how do you think that 10 selection is going to go? And is Manny Lebok's days over in terms of getting a chance, or is he in the squad to cover in that position if needed? Because I can see Pollard and Sasha Feinberg being the real two key choices for Rassie going forward. Now also in the backs, we've got some fantastic experience when it comes to Damien Diolandi and Jesse Creel in the centres. Andre Hesterhausen comes back from suspension, and he's going to give the South African team good cover as well. But we can't go past Jesse Creel, Damien Diolandi in the centres for the Springboks being chosen in those respective positions to start these games against the All Blacks. And I think they're going to be absolutely critical both in offence and defence. So a wonderful opportunity there for these two guys. And the riches of talent in the Springboks team is absolutely phenomenal. One of the other positions I think that's going to be interesting as we go forward in the next years or so is fullback. And of course Willie le Roux in there doing that job for the Springboks. Such intelligence at fullback, the way he reads the game, the way that he's able to use his kicking strategy as well. And I'm sure Fassi coming in at fullback is to learn a lot from Willie le Roux, but also to bring a different dynamic, and we saw that in the games that he's played so far for the Springboks. He does that on the counter attack. He's probably a little bit better than Willie le Roux, if I say that, and he also scored that great try against Australia as well. So let me know what you think the fullback strategy is for the Springboks going forward. Are we going to see Willie le Roux as the mainstay and Fassi there as the backup, or are we going to see a change of the guard as the next couple of years go on in that particular position? Canan Moody's coming back in as well, and if you watched my videos from the Rugby World Cup last year, you'll know that I'm a big Canan Moody fan. I think the guy's an absolute beast. He's got speed to burn. He's creative. He's just like a bigger version of Sasha Feinberg, in my opinion. That's very scary. So it's going to be interesting to see how Rassie uses him, whether he does use him in this series against the All Blacks. And then we got to look at the wings, because boy, is there some try-scoring power there. Kurt Liarense, of course, we've got Mapimpi, and we've got Cheslin Colby, and the South Africans are not short on speed, creativity and experience when it comes to wingers. So they've got the speed to burn, they've got the desire to use that now, and I can see this Springbok team causing all sorts of problems for the All Blacks across the park. Now, as a Kiwi, I'm going to call it. I'm going to say that I think the Springbok squad that's been selected to play against the All Blacks in these first 2 test matches in South Africa is probably one of the best test squads I've ever seen in World Rugby. Yeah, that's a big call, isn't it? I've gone through my memory banks, and the only 2 other squads that I'd say would come close would be the 2005 All Black team and the 2015 All Blacks. I think those 2 squads were absolutely fantastic. But this Springbok squad is right up there with those 2 teams, in my opinion. I think this new era of South African rugby is so exciting, not only for South African fans, but also true fans of the global game. You know, I can sit here today as an All Black fan, and an All Black fan since my birth almost, and I can say to you, I absolutely love watching the Springbok team playing. And we all know they've got the ability to go better than what they're playing at the moment as well, and that's what makes it even more scary, because the potential is truly untapped, I believe. And I think within the next 3 years heading up to the Rugby World Cup in Australia, we're going to see the South African team even get better, and that's the scary thing for all the opposition around the world. So as we're watching this generation, this era of South African rugby unfold, we should embrace it as rugby fans across the world, not just in South Africa. I read all of your comments from the South African viewers of my channel, and I feel the passion, I feel the pride that you have in this group of players. Well, I can tell you that there's a lot of people across the world that are sharing that with you, because what South Africa is bringing to the game of rugby at the moment is absolutely fantastic. It's like the All Blacks back in the heyday, in that team of 2005, 2015. I think those All Black teams were bringing something that embraced the whole rugby community around the world. And that's what this beautiful game of ours needs, and I think that's what the Springboks team is doing. So I can't wait for the series. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Let me know about the South African squad, the forwards, the backs. I think what South Africa is doing on the field as well as off the field is absolutely brilliant. And looking outside the box, bringing in someone like Tony Brown, who's got fantastic experience, and we've already seen his impact on this particular team of the South Africans. Also Jerry Flannelly as well, and he should not be forgotten in terms of the importance that he's bringing in this evolution of the Springboks team. So as I said, I'm extremely excited to watch this squad then go into a selection group for the first test. Of course, I'm going to be back during the next few days talking about that team when it is selected, and then we'll start really ramping it up in these videos, talking about that first game in Johannesburg, how we think the strategy is going to play out, look at the All Black selection as well, and do a deep dive into it all. Okay, so there we go. There's my thoughts around the South African squad that's been selected to play against the All Blacks in the 2-test series in South Africa starting next weekend. Let me know in the comments what your views are, and don't forget, here's a few ways that you can help me support my channel, and by doing this you're going to help me play a small role in helping the great game of rugby grow across the world, and that's why I'm putting all my energy and work into this project. So please, if you can, help me out, do that. I'd be very, very thankful. I look forward now to reading your comments about this video, talking about those players that I talked about, but also you might be feeling that some other players in this listed squad for South Africa are going to be standouts in this series against the All Blacks. Let me know who they are. I'd be really interested to read your views. I'll be back again really soon with another video. Until then, you stay safe, stay well, keep enjoying your rugby no matter where you are in the world, and thank you very much for watching my videos. Until next time, it's adios from beautiful Cancun here in Mexico. Bye for now.